Namaste, beloveds. Thank you for joining us in this holiness. We didn't have a translator. We thought we might have a translator. We don't. So we're just going to put it over Jesus. Beloveds. Thank you for joining us in this whole. See, I have an echo. We have an echo. No, we don't anymore. Gosh, so much love, you know. I can see the love that this joining is just a continual reminder. Oh, look at that picture of Jesus with his arm on the shoulder. Yeah. You guys always bring the most beautiful things. Yeah, because I can see it's all for me to be reminded of just infinite love, you know, this. I love this. Okay, the Son of God remembered not to laugh. Now let's go through that deeply so we make sure we laughing our heads off. By the time this is done, no more not being laughing. And it is funny. It's so funny when we go down into the subconscious mind with Jesus to see the impossibility. That it is kind of funny that we did it to ourselves. The play is not to admit that we chose this experience. Oh my gosh, let's ask Jesus. Jesus. See, that's the only way you can laugh. So here's the conundrum, okay? The conundrum is that we made up a scenario to make ourselves really unhappy and then forget that we made a scenario to make ourselves unhappy. Ripping mad, actually. And so when you start to look like Muji says, you know, you peel back the covers on the ego and you find you're splitting mad, angry. When you start to look, you just feel the steam coming up. And the ego's so tricky, it's going to be like, and we laugh about it here. I'm asking Jesus, can I talk about that? You know, I bring it up a lot. It must be for me, but it's always for me. You know, about, you know, something's not, we don't have enough bread, enough toast, or enough, whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, the ego is a hunter. It's going to hunt for the thing that's going to make it the most unhappy. Is that true, Jesus? Let's ask him. Jesus, is that what the ego is? It's going to hunt for what is going to bring itself the most misery. Ask him. You can talk to Jesus. I'm just checking in to see if maybe one of the translators responded. But anyway, okay. She's watching. Thank you. I don't know, maybe they will respond. So you can ask him. You know, this is why we're not laughing, because we're not going deep enough into the mind. If you're ticked off, we got to go underneath it and go, okay, what is generating the experience? What don't I want to see? This is so helpful when Jesus showed me, for me, that he talks about us doing something and he's asking us to do something. Yes, because we're little doers. We're little do-bots. We're like little, you know, and then we get really mad, like, okay, this was the place, I'll say for me, okay, you know, Jesus is going to make me do something I don't want to do. That's the ego saying, until you go deep in the mind, you can't see this, but the ego saying, I want to do what I want to do. See, I want to do what's going to make me a doer so I can deny I'm divine. That's brutal. Really brutal. You have to go down and see Jesus. Ask him, Join with the mighty and go, Jesus, do I really relish being brutal to myself? It is very enlightening when you see that you relish it. But you see, that's the way out, is actually turning into it. So he's not asking, he uses the word do, but what he's really asking, because we're so used to being little do-bots, he's saying, look at what I'm trying to show you, where in your mind you object to yourself. Where you remembered, you created memory through Genesis, right? The tiny mad idea, you created a memory so you could focus on memory, which the world is just memory, you can ask them, rather than divine light. So let's just ask Jesus. Might as well ask him directly. Did I create this whole world so I'd have something to remember so I could forget identity? Yes or no? Okay. See, the whole point of this whole thing with A Course in Miracles is you get to the point, we laugh about it. Okay, this is funny, but we might as well be funny instead of all the suffering that we're doing. And go, okay, you do the bobblehead. You know what a bobblehead? Have you seen these little, they're, you know, you sit them on the back of a car and the head goes like this. You've probably seen one, bobblehead of Jesus. But the point is that the neck is so flexible. See, that's where we want to get. When we hear him go, no, we go like this. Our head moves like this. We hear Jesus say, yes, we go like this, because that is our complete alignment with God. When we do that, we're saying yes to divinity. See, I thought it was, okay, I'm going to say yes to what Jesus tells me to do. Well, we're not saying yes to that, because you can't say yes to doing. But you think you are, because we're used to saying yes or no to what we're doing. But what he's showing you is where you're saying no to yourself as a divine being, or you're forgetting to laugh. You're choosing not to laugh. You're choosing to pretend like you're a little do-bot and do something that is going to create a timeline so it feels like you're happy, but we're not. It's just, we don't know what happiness, it's so profound. It's like, ask them, you know, while we're so sure and we're turning down all the guidance that he's given. Oh my gosh, that play of not following guidance, that is brutality. You can ask him, Jesus, every time I'm not following guidance of my remembering not to laugh. Because we want to keep the remembering not to laugh as long as possible. You can ask him, Jesus, do I relish keeping remembering not to laugh as long as possible? It's illuminating. I'm going to try to set this up for Lena so she speaks Spanish. I want to set this up so she can, it'll translate for her. Let's see. Put it down. See if this will work. Language. So in any other people who speak Spanish, if you have Microsoft Translator on here on your phone, we can put the code. You can put the code into your phone, you'll get this translated. Of course, you might not understand that because if you can't speak Spanish. I can't speak English, might not understand it. Here we go. Okay, Nina, para usted. We got this set up, presenter mode. Okay. So what this does is everything I speak in English automatically goes over to Spanish right on this phone. So I'll just give that to Lena. So remember not to laugh. Well, ask them. We might as well ask them. Let's be honest. Here, Mary, give this to Lena. It's going to have the whole thing on it. Jesus, do I relish remembering not to laugh? Yes or no? So you've got to get that the honesty of God when he tells you something so your head can go like this. It's so helpful. Okay, Jesus, because that way he can take us deep into the mind and we can see where still in the mind we're relishing not laughing somewhere. And then we go, yes, Jesus, you're right. I need to look at that. So the guidance is something he's trying to bring into awareness. Oh my God. And it's profound. It's profound to see in the play of consciousness, beings that have been, you know, done all these things and spiritual meaning, whatever, and then they just stop following guidance. You have to be so attentive to guidance. You have to get the bobblehead. There isn't another way. Yes, Jesus, if you want happy laughter to be restored again. Yes, is that true, Jesus? I'm just going to say what he said. That's why I check into him. We were talking about this today. I mean, oh my gosh, you guys are going to come speak today because it was ridiculous. Everyone can speak this voice. I mean, our whole point is when you let him speak through you, you're learning. See, that you're learning what he's telling you. It comes through you and you're not investing 1 second in that other voice, in the voice for hell, the voice for unhappy laughter. Because the ego can laugh. You know, it has a little ha, ha, ha. It's got the little ha, 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 hell laugh. I got you. You know, you're weak, you're powerless. But the laughter, the real laughter comes, you know, because people would talk about, well, how come you're laughing? Because every time I'd say something, I'd see him, oh my God, he's so right. And you'd laugh because you're down in your deep in the realization, in the grokking, we call it getting it, that holy smoke, he's right again. So everything that comes out of your mouth, you have to laugh because you know it's true. You know, he's right again and he's right again. But I could see like sometimes people around me, they would be in laughter and it made me mad. It pissed me off. You know, the anger would rise up. That's how much we hate happiness. Ask Jesus about it, you know? Is that true, Jesus? Is there some place in my mind where I'm not seeing how much I love not laughing about the world and I love being angry about the world? But it's happy if he shows it to you. How the world is one big fat memory not to laugh. Is that true, Jesus? And you let these things, they like sink in and it's like, oh my God, the whole world. But see, that's what the ego doesn't want to see. It doesn't want to admit. That's why this really loose neck thing where you're going, yes, Jesus, no, Jesus, to everything he says is so important. Because of the dishonesty. We think that saying yes and no to something it's about saying yes or no to what we want. See, do I go to Cancun? Yes, I'm going. Am I gonna have a sandwich? Yes. But like when your mind blows out, when you see that you're not saying yes, it's impossible. It's an idea that you can say yes to something like that. So it uses yes and no instead to say, am I aligning with all that I am? Am I saying yes? And therefore, yes to God is no to the ego. So he completely turns yes and no around. Before we thought, okay, if my preferences and I can pick something and I can choose something in form, which is immediate. As soon as you're choosing something, you just chose to be split. You just chose that duality. See, he's trying to break us out of the habit of choosing. So if he chooses for us, he helps us realign with we don't actually have a choice. There's no choice. Choice doesn't even exist. That's a mind bender. Ask him, Jesus, yes or no, does choice exist? And then let your head do because we can all hear, does choice exist? Okay, now ask him this. Okay, Jesus, Do I relish choice anyway? Do I try to eke out choice whenever I can? Do I try to get a choice in there somewhere of what I want to do? But choice is remembering not to laugh. Oh, I love these tidbits he's given me. Choice is remembering not to laugh. Every time you choose, you just split your mind, because choice is about one thing being more or less than the other. So you have to have, for choice, you have to have two. So as soon as you think you're choosing something, you're in immediate split mind. That's why he's got to wean us off of choice and go, no, come with me and see that when you're making choice, you're choosing against yourself as a divine being. You're choosing not to laugh. You're choosing the experience of hell. Okay, what else do I need to learn from you, Jesus? It makes you so happy to learn from Jesus, really. Because you're referring back to yourself, you know? Like, it's just for me to practice hearing him and then speaking him. To see, that's divine expression. That's why we join in these light circles. You must join so you can practice hearing and you can get used to that, because we're so used to the hell voice, the I forgot to laugh decision. I remembered not to laugh decision. And you can ask him, Jesus, is choice a remembering not to laugh? And yet, that's what the ego is. The ego is going to play to preserve remembering not to laugh. Is that true, Jesus? You can ask him. Everybody here can hear him, so you can ask him direct. But we have to learn to drop into the deep honesty of God, because what we're talking about, well, first of all, you're on a Saturday night, so you have to be guided by Jesus, because most people would be off doing something else rather than trying to develop that relationship with, where's Jesus? Here he is over here. We know this guy. You know, and we have to get to the point where we can cuddle up to him, because and see in the mind, as we all laugh about it here, when you go deep in the mind, you see, I don't want to talk to him, not any bit. Not one shred. Okay, I'll talk to him between 2 and 4 p.m. on Sundays, but that's it. That's the question. Jesus, am I willing to see where I'm trying to keep unhappiness? I'm trying to kill off happy laughter, that it can't happen. We remember the Buddha, okay? Buddha looked at the sky and laughed. Have you ever seen that picture? It's a little picture that when Buddha grokked it, when he got the joke, it's a self-perpetuated joke that we don't want to see. That we tried to make the impossible happen without it happening. So that's the thing we were looking at today, and a couple of people go, I don't want to see that it never happened or whatever. Jesus, am I willing to see that this never happened? Ooh, that's deep. And you hear no. But then we can be honest that we don't want to see that everything out in the world is just a projection of the mind to keep unhappiness. And every decision we make that's not in alignment with, I will make no decisions on my own, that takes commitment. That's the experience here. I guess for me, I keep asking him if I was just a difficult poster child or something. Am I like just the worst case scenario, Jesus? You know, he just goes, no, he knows this is how consciousness plays. In order to keep the ego, we have to play like we don't want to hear Jesus. We have to play angry. See, anger's never justified. It's always hiding something. This has been, I'm so grateful for this. Thank you, Jesus, how he showed me. Don't spend any time on the anger. You can ask him, Jesus, do I have to spend one time in anger? No, just recognize, oh, I'm mad right now. I must be hiding happiness from myself. Sometimes, when have you ever said that when you're mad? I'm hiding happiness from myself. I never did. He's given it to me. He must think I need it. But you do, you can get in that habit of going, oh, I feel the smoke rising right here. What is it? And then we get faster, faster and going, wow, there's something under here. There's something that's always trying to, like Mary, I must have said this is for me when she said early this week, she pulled out, was it chapter 30, right? Jesus said, yeah, it's chapter 30, where the Course says the ego always attacks what it doesn't want to see. And sometimes it looks like a raving maniac screaming. That's very true. Sometimes it's very obvious, but sometimes these attacks are very subtle. And I'm talking to him about it because if you get a prompt, you'll see the ego will attack it, but it's sneaky attack. It'll come up with like 8 reasons why you can't do it. And including using, I don't hear that from Jesus. It loves that. Well, I'm not hearing that from Jesus right now. And like he's told me, and he's reminding me now, if you want to hear Jesus, you are going to hear him. There isn't another possibility because it's the only true voice. The other voice is imaginary. Oh, yeah, he says that's okay. So the other voice is completely imaginary. So anyone who wants to hear his voice it's 100% available. And now we have to get to the honesty of God part and going, okay, Jesus, do I continually want to remember not to laugh? Or am I really willing to go deep into the subconscious mind with you to show me every place I'm remembering not to laugh? That just gets happier. I mean, I just get happy, just the joy and the reminder, because he's reminding us how powerful we are. We are not some weak little, we want it in the consciousness play, whoever we is. I don't even know who's out there doing it. Nobody's doing it. You feel like you're talking in circles because the less you know, the more you feel like you babble. But it's something about it resonates through. What resonates? It's where it comes from. We can never, ever on God's earth, we can never say anything. No words are true. There's just not a word that's true. But you can speak as truth. You can speak the immanence of that voice within, which everyone here is called to speak because it's your voice. You get the resonance of being when it's coming directly from the one who knows, because he's very direct and he doesn't, him. I know you. I know several of you. I won't name any names, but I know you can speak to him. I don't have to. I can just ask him. He'll tell me anyway. I know you can speak to him. So now we just have to say, okay, Jesus, give it to me. And then I remember after I said that, man, he starts showing you everything. And then you forget that you asked him to show you everything. It's like you don't always remember what you've asked for, that he's trying to give you everything you ask for, but sometimes you're too angry because it brings up. But we have to catch it quicker. That's why we join. We come together to really catch it, not spend time on the anger or anything. Just go, no, what do I need to see? So that the anger or confusion or anything that arises that is not alignment with totality, which is pretty much everything on this world, we join together to look under it and see what's true. Okay, where am I absolutely choosing not to laugh here? That's the gig. Where am I choosing to remember not to laugh? You can ask him, Jesus, and so that's the whole world choosing to remember not to laugh. He goes, yes, okay. I'm willing to see that, so I'm asking. See, because our happiness depends on it. Our happiness depends. It would seem really obvious that we would want to go down there and see where we remembered not to laugh. But you can ask them, Jesus, am I willing to go down there? Like, am I ready to charge in and just look at that straight on? Yes or no? And either way, it's good. If he says, yes, you're willing to go in, great. Just make sure it's his voice, because the ego will volunteer. Of course, I'm ready to go in, while it's running the other way. But we have to ask him, because he's got to show us, okay, Jesus, am I willing to see? Okay, now the good news too, if we're not wanting to have him show us where I'm trying to remember not to laugh in my mind, because at least A, as I've said, we're in a dialogue. B, we're in honesty of God, because, and we talk about it here, right? As soon as it's admitted that, oh my God, I really don't want to see where I remembered not to laugh. I don't want, not one shred of it, not one little ooch of it. I mean, that's profound. That's profound. It's hilarious. He's telling us directly, look, you remembered not to laugh. And then we go, well, yeah, that's a nice statement, of Course in Miracles, but I'm not really willing to go in and look to see where I'm remembering not to laugh. And that's all he's trying to show us through guidance. Look, let me show you every place where you're remembering not to laugh, and you're making this, you know, we're sticking some kind of reality on the unreal and pretending like he's going to take something from us. But that's where the happiness is. I mean, oh my gosh. It's like, even referring back to him, it's like, at first it's not so fun, because remember, the ego is going to resist everything. They're going to be like little protected pockets of hell. Hell is always not talking to him for his interpretation. I love that on the movies. Like next week we have that movie retreat, and it's a great opportunity, all these movies together, to have him to practice, you know, in a relatively, what the ego would interpret as relatively safe, because it seems to be on the screen, that movie, even though our entire movie's on the screen, but where we can just go, okay, Jesus, please interpret this for me. You know, I'm really willing to totally get all what's happening, what the characters, where they're choosing to be in alignment with divine function, which is saying yes to all that they are, as opposed to choosing for the ego. Watch an adorable movie today, Ice Castles from 1975, like a flashback back to Robbie Benson. But it's, I mean, these spirit guide movies are off the wall. They were all in purpose. We could all hear it. So we start listening together, because there's only one mind. There's one mind listening. And then, so we can all hear what divine function is. Are these three beings in divine function? We all heard it. And they were all got a big unwind in this movie. It was good. It was good. And then but they're all in the car together eventually, just going, okay, we're going for it. And it seemed insane. And that's what we're going to find. The only way to remember to laugh, the only way, Jesus said, and I want to be clear. Oh my God, so much love in this. The only way to remember to laugh is to say consistently no to the ego when you're given guidance and you step into it. And they stepped into it big time, didn't they? When that unwinding, it seemed impossible. Remember, he says, you can do everything I ask. Yes, he's showing you you're the infinite. When you're speaking his voice, your communion, it's holy communion with source. That's why we fight it, because we want to remember not to laugh. Practice this, practice. It's so stunning. You're communing with source when you're speaking that voice. That's why he's encouraging you, like when you have joinings, to tape it, because we want to cover it over. The ego comes in and covers that and says, oh, you know, it's terrible and I'm bad, I'm doing an awful job. And which voice is that speaking? It's the consistency of the practicing, listening, speaking, listening, speaking, listening, speaking. Okay, Jesus, give it to me. What don't I want to see? and you'll feel it. The ego is going to want to run. It's going to want to hide. It's going to, plan a vacation to Hawaii. But that's when you really have to go, no, I'm going to look anyway. It's trying to move you to a distraction, to keep forgetting to laugh, remembering not to laugh. I'm choosing. It's remembering not to laugh. He's pointing directly to it's a choice to have an experience not to laugh, not to see. So it's a choice to be deluded. I'm going to be deluded. And then I'm going to have a second choice on top of that, which is I deluded myself, but I'm going to forget that I deluded myself by remembering not to laugh. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. And the remembering not to laugh, of course, is making it real. So the way to get to the happy laughter is, I've said many times, I've been looking with Jesus. I thought I had looked and looked and looked and looked, and it's like Jesus going, not yet, grasshopper. Remember that? What was that from? What? Karate. No, let's see. It was from Shaolin, it was a TV program, but anyway, and he'd be being taught by the master, and then the master would call him grasshopper. And we are grasshopper. We have to see we're grasshopper, and Jesus is the master, and the experience here has been like, and then maybe you had it too, like, I thought I had just forgiven and forgiven, nonstop forgiving and forgiving, and then there'd be periods of forgetting to forgive or whatever. But and then when the chapter 20 came along, man, Jesus, a new covenant, it's like, oh my God. Oh, grasshopper had a lot more to go. Grasshopper may have a lot more to go, but here's what the grasshopper's a lot happier grasshopper because grasshopper has made it a priority to look at everything with Jesus. And then you start laughing more because you're going, oh, I screwed myself. I did it to myself. And that's what we have to see. Like, Jesus, am I willing to see that I chose this experience, and everything that happens, I am putting the fuel on the fire for it. And that's what the big fight is. That's what the anger's about. That's what the running, the crying, the gnashing of teeth. It's all about, okay, I don't want to see that I remembered not to laugh. I had to have a memory. The world is a memory. Genesis. The question is, will we choose to be shown where we are remembering not to laugh? Or to completely open our mind to Jesus? That is the trick. See, that every time you're mad, that's all that's being fought. It's to keep the memory in the mind of untrue. Every twitch, I'm asking them. You can ask them too, Jesus, every twitch that I have, every time I respond to something out in form, I'm remembering not to laugh. I'm choosing to have an experience that makes form seem real. And there Jesus is, like he's walking on the beach next to us. And, we got I've talked about it before where, he's on the phone, he's trying to give us the news, and it's like, oh, I can't hear you. Shh, Jesus, I got something else to do. I've got to be, this, the ego says it, I have got to be in the world. We have to learn the code. The code is, I have to be in the world. I got things to do. I have to take care of myself. The code is, I want to keep memory in mind. I'm going to remember not to laugh. He's going to guide you to be coached by him. That's what I hear. That is the most important thing for Course in Miracles students. Yes, Course of Love students is, okay, this is good. You've been looking, you were understanding the concepts, but now the time is to hear my voice and speak my voice. and to be coached by me, where in your mind you're remembering not to laugh. And then again, when we go down, if you're not laughing yet, I mean, you don't always laugh, but you'll see it gets funny. All of a sudden you're sitting somewhere and you just break out laughing because you just see the whole, somehow you see it in wholeness, where we had made the decision to look at it in fragmentation. There was a choice to experience little parts and pieces of ourselves rather than to recognize the wholeness of all that is. So this is why I'm also grateful for myself. This whole thing, I needed it, obviously, when he started talking about in New Covenant, honesty of God, because we're just unaware. If we're remembering not to laugh, we're totally unaware of the level of dishonesty, how dishonest we are with ourselves. And it's not about, who stole the cookie, or, I'm going to tell that guy what I think or I've been holding back from my husband for 50 years. So now I'm going to be honest. That is not honesty. The honesty is, Jesus, right now, what are you asking me to do that's most helpful for healing the mind? What can I see? That's honesty. And then being willing to see it, and be persistent. Like, I'm going to look, I don't care what it takes. For me, I know I had to get to that point. I'm asking him, is this truly helpful to say yes? It has to be God and his kingdom, number one. All of consciousness is dishonesty. It's all. So he's really encouraged us to get down to laugh. And as many beings here, and hopefully you all share tonight, but he's funny. He knows where your funny bone is. He will crack you up. I'll just start laughing sometimes because he says things are funny. And I'm sure every one of you had that experience. Because we've taken ourselves too seriously. But the way to get to the seeing the happy laughter is to go deep enough in the mind to really be so self-honest, to get to the point, which the ego does not want to do, of seeing I am choosing every experience. I'm relishing it. And then the ego, and then letting my ego act like, oh, I don't know anything about, face of innocence. I don't know anything about this. But there's a way out. That's the happiness. It's going down there and going, holy smokes, I do want it. Like that watershed chapter 20 moment that I've talked about, when he, had me pull all the beliefs out of A Course in Miracles. Not all of them, but, just a slew of them. And then he starts going and, showing me, okay, that's a desire. This is a desire. There's another one. And I'm having to agree with them that all those were still relished experiences below my level of awareness when he was showing them to you. Oh, I do. Oh, okay. But at first you're going, oh, yes, but don't judge it. Just we're getting to neutrality. Remember, it's just bobbleheaded Jesus. Like, oh, you're right, Jesus. That's all. It's just admitting, okay, yep. Oh, I love it. And even here we get to the point where we start laughing. Oh my God, I love that. I just really, yummy. I'm asking if it's it. Yeah, saying Jesus, is it helpful get to the point where we just see how much we absolutely relish remembering not to laugh. I hear yes. Oh, maybe that'll be one we'll look at. Jesus, do I relish remembering not to laugh? Have I completely cleared that from my mind, relishing that experience of remembering not to laugh? See, and then the Course is alive. It's alive for us. It's not some kind of concept that we can go to a meeting on a Sunday. It's a good starting point, but you'll see so many Course students fighting over the concept. Don't fight it. Go down and ask Jesus about it. Yeah. That's the point. He's going, come together, join with your brother to see what's true together, take each other. So then you can see your brother is the way out. See, when you go and just talk about it and stay in the head, you can't really see that your brother is the way out. But when you sit in these circles, right, and your brother says something that just takes your doors off. It's just, whoa, your hair blows back. And you go, wow. But we're so used to fighting the joining. Anything not to come together and see what's true. Tons of distractions. Am I willing to see, Jesus, that I chose to remember not to laugh? And that all of consciousness, Jesus, is all of consciousness remembering not to laugh? That's humbling. See, there's no wiggle room in that when you hear that. Yes, oh God, I got to look at that. Jesus, do I need to look at all the places in my mind where I remember not to laugh? I get a yes on that. He said directly, he says, your happiness depends on that. Being willing to see it. But to accept being guided by the one who knows, how glorious is that? Once we get over the hurdle of, oh my God, what it means, like me, what will it mean? I'm asking him. He's got to remind me what I was doing, how I was avoiding talking to him. Well, he reminds me, okay, so I was embarrassed about saying I could talk to him. I'm asking if I'm holding back at all, saying I can talk with him. No. But for a while, I didn't mean it. I'm not going to tell anybody. I can hear you. That's how it plays. He's the way out. Let's talk about who we're talking to, the most powerful symbol in consciousness for resurrection. And we're acting like, and I could see it too. I mean, I'm talking about myself. Who walks with you? Who walks with you? Who's on that beach in that picture right there? The most powerful, like he's going to drop in and then suddenly going to drop us on our heads or something. No, it's not that he's not here for us. It's that there's selective places in the mind where we want to remember not to laugh. You can ask him, Jesus, do I have places in my mind where I don't want to remember to laugh? Oh my goodness. Then we're honest about it. So yeah, I'm gonna see if Mary will come up and maybe they'll share some experiences of what Jesus has been telling them lately. And then we want to open the floor. Look, there's all Jesus's here. I love hearing Jesus speak through you guys. I mean, it's like it's heaven. It's happy learner. Okay, here we go.
So one of the desires that's been coming up for me that has definitely been a desire not to laugh is the desire for relishing darkness. And you might say, well, what is that? Well, I notice around 4 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I've got all these dark, it's like fear, and I can't seem to talk to God. I can't talk to Jesus at that point. And this has been going on for some years, and it's getting lighter and lighter. And what he's been showing me is that this is a desire of just relishing, not wanting to look directly at the darkness. Let's see. And so we brought it up, I think, yesterday or day before. Okay, this is something we want to look at directly, the desire for darkness. And I'm like, no, I don't want to look at that. And as as Kay, Jesus, Lena, we were all working together to just look at it, that I have this desire to entertain dark thoughts that terrorize me, I will do out picturing where I look at worst case scenarios. And this all comes from the willingness to look deeply. This isn't something just floating on the surface. Most of us go around and we're like, so distracted, we don't think about these things. We're too busy, off doing whatever. And we don't look. But when you stop, you say, okay, I want to look at everything that's getting in the way of my communing with God, then some of this stuff, then I'm willing to look at some of this stuff. So Jesus was being funny. Yeah, I was looking for that one quote where he said, yeah, well, one of the things that I realized that it's so interesting that we run away from seeing that which is most useful for our happiness and well-being. That which is most useful for our happiness and well-being, we do not want to look at. We're just like, oh, no, not looking at that. Thank you very much. But he was saying something along the lines that if I could grok meaning totally get in the moment what a miracle is, and I'm following him, I'm listening to him, then he said, I've got it made in the shade. And we were looking at darkness. That's not exactly quite the quote, but he was just doing a play on words about made in the shade that I thought was pretty funny. Yeah, so in the moment when we're joined and we are really willing to look at something, Jesus starts, the inner voice starts coming through, and it's not coming from the usual personality voice or personal identity voice that we so often speak. It's coming from a much deeper level, and it comes forth and flows out in the moment, given the inspiration, the willingness to really say, okay, give it to me, show me, what is it I need to see here? Yeah.
That's really when it's the blocking it. We relish blocking that voice. You can, not looking directly. That almost has to be looked at first sometimes. Okay, I don't want to look. And then you relish how much you don't want to look.
Yeah, and another aspect of this is just reminding me that we've been looking at that I've really been not wanting to look at, and that is I don't want to admit that I'm responsible for anything that goes on with my body, with anything. With dark thoughts in the morning or terrorizing myself, out picturing. I do not want to admit that I want to blame Jesus. I want to blame God. I want to blame my dad. I want to blame the dog. I don't care. No, not the dog. Okay. It's just like, I am not taking this on. And then it's like, okay, fine, I'll open one eye and squeak one eye open a little crack, and maybe I'll consider this. And then the more I look, the more it starts, I don't know what happens. I can't even explain it. It just starts to dissipate. It starts to disappear. And so when Case talks about, and talking tonight about, we forget to laugh, what happens with all this looking and all this falling away of these desires that used to run us is that I just feel lighter and lighter. So there is most of the time a lot of laughter when I'm not beating myself up.
Yeah, we've been looking at that a lot, the relishing of the experience of beating ourselves up. I mean, that's deep. But the good news is the word self. See, we see in that we're choosing to give ourselves a hard time. Jesus, do I love the experience of giving myself a hard time and pretending like it's not me that's doing it? Oh my goodness.
And he starts to reveal some of this stuff. I will have no clue. I'll be totally clueless as to what is going on underneath the surface, like Kay says so often, below my level of awareness. And then we start looking and up it comes. It starts to get revealed.
Yeah, this is such a gift. He's really teaching exactly what he says in the course. I do not know the reason I'm upset, and we need to be shown by him the real reason, and it's never the reason we think. But that's the happiness, because he can bring the mind quickly to what the real, choice for hell is down there in the subconscious mind, choosing to remember not to laugh. That's the only way it can happen, because we'd be laughing like Buddha. We laughed at the sky when he realized it's all impossible. Jesus, am I relishing not seeing that this is all impossible? It's just not possible. God, that's a twist in the mind.
And you'd think there'd be nothing to laugh about it, looking at the desire to beat ourselves up, or the desire for darkness, or that I'm doing this to myself. Sometimes when this stuff comes up, I am not laughing. There's no laughter. I'm like, this is not funny. I don't like this at all. Don't want to deal with this. And then, spirit just starts working with us. And to the point where we get to see, after looking at it and looking at the wanting of it, that it's insane. It's just really ridiculous. Sometimes it takes a few sessions,
yes,
like hours.
But you have to be willing to do whatever it takes, because we've invested so much time in remembering not to laugh. We think that's the norm. Oh my gosh.
It's a great little cartoon I saw somebody posted today, and it looks like an older sister and a child on a Ferris wheel, and the girl, the big sister, is just laughing and having a great time, and the kid is just freaking out. And it put the label, the Holy Spirit, or it says, this is what God has planned for you. And it shows the girl she's the Holy Spirit, and the little kid is totally freaking out about what God has planned for him. This is us. So anyway, I thought that was funny.
Oh my gosh. You can ask Jesus, does God have a happy laughter plan for me? Jesus goes, as soon as I said that, Jesus said, that's the only plan he has. We're such goofballs, the goofballs of consciousness, playing these little games with ourselves. But that's what we're given with each other for. So I'm going to open this up and see. I don't know if Lena has anything she'd like to share today. And certainly any of you, you're Jesus, for crying out loud. We're here to hear what you have to say. Oh, that's right. If Lena speaks, we won't be able to translate. Okay. We're going to find a way, though, because she's been saying some really, really beautiful things come out of your mouth when you're speaking Jesus. You got to know that. So anyone else hear anything from Jesus on this topic? Let's just, when you're talking to him and you ask him about this forgetting to laugh, remembering not to laugh. Ask him about remembering not to laugh. And then what does he tell you? Oh, Lena. Oh, yeah. Okay. She can use the translator. So Lena's going to come talk. She can use the translator. Okay, good. She always has beautiful things to say too. Jesus.
Bueno, no sé ni qué voy a decir, Jesús. Guíame tú.
Well, I don't even know what I'm going to say. Jesus, GMT.
That's the way up.
Bueno, como siempre, Jesús sabe qué es lo que necesito sanar.
Well, as always, Jesus knows what it is I need to heal.
Y cada vez me vuelvo más dependiente de Él porque efectivamente me conoce mejor que yo.
And every time I become more dependent on him, because indeed he knows me better than.
Además, cuando le pregunto, dame tu interpretación, dame tu manera de ver esto, siempre es tan amoroso.
Also, when I ask him, give me your interpretation, give me your way of seeing this, is always so loving.
Y bueno, creo que el deseo del cual quiere que hable es el deseo de que elegí olvidar y luego elegí.
And well, I think the desire you want me to talk about is the desire that I chose to forget and then chose.
Y no querer mirar que yo elijo el sufrimiento.
And not wanting to see that I choose suffering.
Y en verdad que cuando estaba viendo ese deseo, yo iba con muchas ganas porque queremos realmente sanar la mente.
And in truth, when I was seeing that desire, I was really looking forward to it because we really want to heal the mind.
Pero llegó un punto en como que si me hubiera bloqueado ya no podía avanzar. Me sentía totalmente en medio de unas paredes.
But there came a point where if I had blocked, I could no longer advance. I felt totally in the middle of walls.
Y inmediatamente le pedí ayuda a Jesús porque sabía y sé, soy muy consciente de que no puedo hacer esto yo sola.
I immediately asked Jesus for help because I knew I was very aware that I cannot do this alone.
Así que empecé a sentirme más liviana, pero también sentí que eso no se podía liberar.
So I started to feel lighter, but I also felt like that couldn't be released.
Así es que tomamos una tregua y nos fuimos a dormir y a la mañana siguiente amanecí con el deseo de oscuridad.
So we took a truce and went to sleep, and the next morning I woke up with a desire for darkness.
Igual que Mary.
Just like Mary.
Y fue una oportunidad para unirnos a mirar juntas y escuchar a Jesús, que era lo más conveniente para sanar la mente.
And it was an opportunity to join us to look together and listen to Jesus, that it was the most convenient thing to heal the mind.
Y nos dijo que era el deseo de oscuridad en lugar de elegir a Dios.
And told us it was the desire for darkness instead of choosing God.
Y empecé a sentir cómo me encanta la oscuridad y lo empecé a sentir muy denso, muy denso. Y yo dije, ¿cómo puedo estar eligiendo esta densidad tan horrible?
And I started to feel like I love the dark, and it started to feel very dense, and I said, how can I be choosing this horrible density?
Y yo, maravilla, me muestra que efectivamente es una elección que yo decido tomar.
I wonder, it shows me that it is indeed a choice that I decide to make.
Y luego me muestra que en esa elección es que yo estoy eligiendo la percepción, es decir, que la percepción es el reflejo de la oscuridad.
And then he shows me that it is in that choice that I am choosing perception. That is, perception as the reflection of darkness.
Pero luego me muestra que no quiero renunciar a esa percepción.
But then it shows me that I don't want to give up that perception.
Y bueno, creo que lo importante de estas miradas es la honestidad, como bien dices.
And well, I think the important thing about these looks is honesty, as you say.
Porque admitir que lo quieres, aunque no parezca agradable, es abrir la mente a que Jesús nos sane y nos libere por un milagro.
Because admitting that you love him, even if it doesn't seem pleasant, is opening the mind to the fact that Jesus loved us and freed us by a miracle.
Y cuando tenemos esa dosis de buena voluntad, de querer cambiar de manera de ver, Él nos sana y nos libera.
And when we have that dose of goodwill to want to change our way of seeing, he loves us and frees us.
Aquí dice ama y es sana. Él nos da la sanación de la mente y esa es una bendición.
He gives us the healing of the mind, and that is a blessing.
Y cómo de cierta manera hemos elegido tan erradamente cuando realmente la salvación es tan sencilla.
And how in a way we have chosen so wrongly when really salvation is so simple.
Pero como hemos querido preservar la individualidad y eso es lo que estamos defendiendo,
But how we have wanted to preserve individuality, and that is what we are defending.
nos negamos una y otra vez el amor.
My friend loves love again and again.
Nos hemos negado el amor de muchas maneras.
We have denied ourselves love in many ways.
Pero lo bonito de hacer este camino, de mirar la mente subconsciente con Jesús, es que te das cuenta que nada de eso ha ocurrido.
But the beauty of doing this path of looking at the subconscious mind with Jesus is that you realize that none of that has happened.
Y como dice, nos volvemos el aprendiz feliz y ya nos empezamos a reír.
And as he says, we become the apprentice. Happy we already started laughing.
Eso sería todo. Gracias por escuchar.
Gracias, Nina. Beautiful.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, we can't laugh.
Bye.
We can't laugh until we admit we chose not to. That all sounds nonsensical after a while, but it really is. Anyone else? Doris, would you like to share, or Jamuna, or anyone else hearing anything for Jesus? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I'll share something.
Oh, good.
I just wanted to say first aloha, and that was awesome. That translate thing. Right on. I guess I just wanted to share specialness. I keep on coming back to specialness and how about forgetting to laugh. I like to find offense. Like I like to get offended. I don't know. That's what I felt like sharing.
That's beautiful, because when we see that, that is like the opening for Jesus to help us to see how much we relish it. If we're honest and say, yes, Jesus, you are right. I completely relish. And you just sit there with it and see how much, oh my gosh, I love finding fault or whatever he shows us. It frees so much of that dead energy from the subconscious mind. So it's beautiful to share that.
Yeah. I like to be offended or something.
Yeah, Jesus, do I relish the experience of feeling offended? Yes or no? So then all we have to do is once he shows it, it could just keep revealing it. That's the underlying condition, the wanting of the experience of finding fault, Yeah, we use his words. So if it's finding fault, okay, I'm just going to sit with that. Jesus, let me show me how much I just love it. And you just sit with it till it burns out.
Yeah.
And that's all. And then you can laugh. Then we can really laugh because we see, oh my gosh, I just did that to myself. Loved every minute of slapping myself around with that kind of thing.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, how the ego likes to find what was it called? I forget what you said. It's to find ways to.
Yeah, it's a hunter. It's hunting how to forget to laugh.
Yeah, so like, that's the way the ego Amy likes to find. He likes to find ways to be offended.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus, do I just love that? And just go ahead. Okay, it's fine. If I love it, you go down and we find the golem. Jesus, show me the golem down there that's going like this. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
We laugh so hard when we hit the golem.
That's what I felt like sharing.
It's beautiful. Thank you. We love you, Jamuna. We're so glad to be joined with you in holy purpose.
I love
It's
you too.
joyful. Love you. Love you. You just, oh my gosh. Thank you, Jesus. Anyone else? Well, thank you for coming together tonight in holy purpose. We love you. We're grateful. Because when we stand shoulder to shoulder, see, we can't tilt sideways. Adios.